Hey guys, this is the second video in the Futurism project, and I'm going to go over a couple of the requirements before I go on to the next step. So number one says, create a figure with correct proportions. So you should have done that in the last video. Number two says, trace the figure at least 3 times on the paper. So you can have it 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, how many times you think it needs to go, depending on how big you made it. But it has to be at least 3 figures or traced 3 times on the paper. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to my document camera, and I'm going to show you how this is going to be done. So the issue with trying to trace what you cut out from the copy paper is extremely thin. So when you go to trace it, it's very, very difficult. Now, if we trace it on a piece of tag board, almost like a stencil, it does help. So what I'm going to have you guys do is you're going to get a piece of tag board. This is the backside of one of my art catalogs that I found at home. So it's almost feels like a piece of poster board paper. I tried to possibly use like a Cheerio box or the box that fruit snacks or granola bars come in, but that cardboard's a little too thick. So try to find something in your house, like a magazine cover that's just a little bit thicker than paper, but it's not as thick as cardboard. If you're at school, I have tag board that you can use and you'll get a piece of tag board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my figure and I'm going to put it on the tag board. Make sure, obviously, it fits. If possible, you can get a piece of Scotch tape or a piece of masking tape. If you're at school, if you're at home, you'll have to just use what you have. If you don't have any Scotch tape or masking tape, then you don't absolutely need it. It just helps to keep it in place. So I'll just take, it's gonna move a little bit anyway. I'm just gonna take and roll up really tiny a couple of pieces just to keep my figure from moving. Now, if you put too much tape on, it's gonna rip it. So I wouldn't put more than 3 pieces of tape. And this is only if it's available at school. If it's not available at school, that's not a big deal. You can do this without tape. And like I said, you could use really small pieces of masking tape that you cut with scissors, and that would be fine. Now, since mine is on this copy paper, or not copy paper, it's the magazine, I'm going to have to use a pen to trace it because a pencil is not going to work. So I'm going to go around, and I kind of got to hold it as I go because even if you tape it, it's not going to be perfect. So I'm going to go through and trace it with my pen. Now, what ends up happening is some of your details, like the hands or the feet, sometimes they don't turn out as well after you cut it out the second time. So I want you to keep in mind you may have to alter the drawing a little bit whenever you get to the paper if it tends to not look as good as it did when you drew it the first time. So I'm going to very carefully, because this may rip, and I want to keep mine because it looks decent, I'm going to take this off, and my tape kind of stuck right here. I'm actually going to put it back on my figure so I can reuse it. I am going to take my scissors and I am going to cut out this template as best as I can. All right, so pretend that I cut out this entire thing. You would cut out your template. Okay, so I cut it all out. It looks fabulous. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my 9x12 white paper, and if I'm at home, I can use printer paper. That's fine. And I'm going to take my figure, and we're going to pretend this is my template. I didn't finish cutting it out just for time's sake, but we're going to pretend. And I'm going to look how big my figure is on the paper. So I can actually turn it this way, or I can turn it this way. It's up to me. But since my figure fits, I'm going to do it this way. And I think I'll be able to fit this about 5 times. So I have a little bit of tape on the back here. You don't have to use tape. You can just hold it. It just depends on what's available to you. I definitely don't have tape for every person. So if you're able to get some from the teacher, great. And if not, we're doing the best we can. So I think I'd be able to fit maybe 5. I could do 7 if I wanted to, but then they would really be overlapped. So I'm going to think about doing 5. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pencil and very carefully trace around it. Like I said, mine, I did not have to use the template as much right here because this is thick printer paper. My husband got it at Sam's. I don't know if it was, I don't know why there's different weights of printer paper. I guess just depending on how nice you want to make it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trace this a little quickly. So if it looks a little messed up, I want you to trace yours a little nicer. Ooh, that was bad right there. Holy guacamole. All right. All right, then I'm going to take it off. All right. So once I take it off, I'm going to have to fix any part that looks kind of messed up. The feet don't look that bad. The hand's not awful. The top hand is a little too pointy for my taste, so I could kind of fix it. And you can do that at the end if you want. So then I take the next one and I want to overlap it. You don't want to make them completely separate. So if I'm going to do 5, this is probably good. I'm going to trace it. And I know this makes the video long watching me trace it, but it's life. All right. So I'm going to go through and I will trace it 5 times. In the next video, I will show you like how to erase certain lines and what to do about that. So pretend I traced that. It's all done. Okay. Oops, I forgot this other part of the leg. And then I'll show you what the next step is in the next video. Remember, you have to have at least 3 on the paper. Thanks.